What if the most important 10 minutes of your day are the 10 you are not using yet? Not the 10 you spend on the news. Not the 10 you lose to your phone. 10 ordinary minutes sitting unclaimed in your morning. I'm Dr. Alex John, and older adults are who I take care of. Here is what almost nobody explains about dementia. It does not begin with forgetting. It begins with plumbing, wiring, and disuse. It begins years before a single symptom shows its face. The imaging research points to roughly 2 decades of quiet change before the first missed word at dinner. 2 decades. Sit with that for a second. The process that eventually takes a name away from a familiar face has usually been building since long before retirement. That sounds frightening. It should not. It is the best news in all of preventive medicine, because a process that's slow is a process you can interrupt. And you do not need a clinic, a prescription, or a piece of equipment to start interrupting it. If this is the kind of information you want more of, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps push this out to the people who need it most. Now let me show you what is actually going wrong inside the brain, because the routine only makes sense once you see the target. Your brain is a small organ with an enormous appetite. It makes up about 2% of your body weight. It demands roughly 20% of your blood supply every second of every day. It stores almost no fuel of its own. It lives hand to mouth, meal to meal, delivered by a network of vessels so fine that dozens of them would fit inside a single human hair. That network is the first thing that ages. Over decades, the walls of those tiny vessels stiffen. They lose their spring. Picture a garden hose left out to 15 winters. It still carries water. It just cannot flex anymore. Stiff vessels cannot widen on demand, and demand is exactly what a working brain creates. So the deepest regions, the ones farthest from the main supply lines, start running slightly short. Not enough to cause a stroke. Not enough to cause a single symptom. Just a little less than they need every hour for years. Doctors used to call these findings on a brain scan unremarkable age-related changes. We do not call them that anymore. We understand now that those small, quiet injuries add up, and that they show up on imaging long before anything shows up in daily life. There is a second cost to sluggish flow, and it happens while you sleep. The brain has no lymphatic drainage the way the rest of your body does. Instead, it flushes waste products out along the outside of its own blood vessels, mostly at night, in a slow rinse driven by the pulse of blood moving through them. Healthy, flexible vessels pulse strongly and rinse well. Stiff ones do not. So the debris that accumulates during a day of thinking gets cleared a little less completely, night after night, decade after decade. Think of a drain that still works but never quite empties. The second thing that ages is the wiring. Your brain is not one organ. It is a committee. Memory sits in one place, language in another, judgment somewhere else, movement somewhere else again. What makes you feel like yourself is the speed at which those regions talk to one another. Those connections run through white matter, which is essentially insulated cable. Insulated cable needs blood, needs use, and needs repair signals to stay intact. Starve it slowly and the insulation frays. Nothing dramatic happens. Thinking just gets slower. Word finding takes an extra beat. 2 things at once becomes harder than it used to be. The third thing is the simplest and the most overlooked. Disuse. The memory center of the brain, the hippocampus, behaves like a footpath through a field. Walk it daily and it stays open and obvious. Stop walking it and the grass grows back, not overnight. Season by season, most people in their 60s and 70s have quietly stopped walking that path. They look things up instead of recalling them. They follow the phone instead of the route. Every one of those choices is reasonable. Together, over 20 years, they matter. Stiff plumbing, fraying wiring, an overgrown path. Here's the part I want you to hold on to. All 3 of those respond to the same thing, and that thing is not a supplement. It is a daily signal. Your body decides how much repair to invest in your brain based on the demands you place on it. No demand, no investment. That is the whole logic behind what I'm about to give you. 10 minutes, 4 short blocks. No equipment beyond a sturdy chair and a countertop. You can do the entire thing in a kitchen in your slippers, and every block is aimed at one of the problems I just described. Let's start. Minutes 0 to 3. This is the circulation block, and the goal is simple. Wake the pump up. Stand in front of a chair. Sit down slowly, taking 3 full seconds on the way down. Stand back up. Repeat that, unhurried, for 3 minutes. If standing is difficult, stay seated and march your knees up one at a time with the same steady rhythm. If your balance is uncertain, rest one hand on the counter the entire time. There is no prize for doing this unsupported. Now here is why the legs of all things protect the brain. The large muscles of your thighs and hips are the strongest pump in your body after your heart itself. Every time they contract, they squeeze the veins running through them and drive blood back upward. Cardiac output rises, pressure through the arteries rises with it. And as blood moves faster along the inner lining of your vessels, that lining senses the friction and responds by releasing nitric oxide, the body's own signal for a blood vessel to relax and open wider. That is the mechanism worth remembering. Movement does not just deliver blood, movement tells the vessels to open. And the vessels that respond most gratefully are the small, deep, vulnerable ones that struggle the most with age. There is a bonus too. Working muscle releases lactate. And lactate is not simply a waste product the way we were taught for years. The brain can burn it directly as fuel, and it appears to act as a chemical message from the body to the brain that repair is worth funding. So the legs are not only pumping, they are talking. 3 minutes is enough to feel your breathing deepen. That is the marker. You are not trying to get out of breath, and you are not trying to sweat. Warm and slightly winded is the target. If you feel lightheaded, sit down and stop. That instruction applies to every part of this routine. Minutes 3 to 6. This is the coordination block, and this is the one people underestimate. Stay standing or stay seated if that is safer. March in place, and as your right knee comes up, reach your left hand across your body and tap it, then left knee, right hand. Slow and deliberate. 60 seconds of that. Then switch to reaching behind you, right hand tapping the left heel, then left hand to right heel, another 60 seconds. Finish with your arms out to the sides, drawing slow figure eights in the air, one arm going one direction while the other goes the opposite direction. That last one will feel ridiculous. It is supposed to. Here's the mechanism. Everything I just described forces your left and right hemispheres to cooperate in real time. Your two hemispheres are joined by a thick bundle of fibers called a corpus callosum. It is the trunk line between the two halves of your brain, and like any cable, it is maintained in proportion to how much traffic it carries. Ordinary movement barely uses it. Walking straight ahead is largely automatic, handled by circuits you have not consciously supervised since you were 3 years old. But the moment a limb has to cross the midline of your body to meet a limb on the other side, that automatic system is not enough. Timing has to be negotiated between hemispheres, moment by moment, and your cerebellum and frontal lobes have to weigh in on every repetition. Think of an orchestra. Every musician can play their part alone. It is the conductor keeping them together that makes it music. Cross-body movement puts the conductor to work, and when you demand coordination like that, the brain releases more of its growth and repair signals, particularly a protein called BDNF, which you can think of as fertilizer for neurons and their connections. Simple exercise raises it. Exercise that demands precision raises it more. That is the whole reason this block exists rather than 3 extra minutes of marching. You will be clumsy at first. Everybody is. Clumsy is the sound of a circuit being rebuilt. Minutes 6 to 8. This is the balance block, and if you only had 2 minutes of the 10, I would tell you to spend them here. Stand beside your counter with one hand resting on it. Lift one foot a few inches off the floor. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds. Switch sides. Repeat once more on each leg. That is the block. Balance looks like a leg skill. It is not. It is one of the most demanding whole brain tasks you can perform standing still. To keep you upright, your brain has to fuse 3 separate streams of information at once. Your eyes report where the horizon is. The pressure sensors in your feet and ankles report which way you are drifting, and your inner ear, your vestibular system, reports the position and motion of your head in space. Those 3 signals arrive from 3 different directions and have to be reconciled continuously, with corrections sent back out to your muscles in fractions of a second. Now here is the part that connects it directly to memory. The signals from your inner ear do not only go to the balance centers. They feed into the hippocampus, the same structure that builds and stores memory. Your sense of where you are in space and your sense of where you have been are handled by overlapping machinery, which is why spatial confusion and memory loss so often arrive together, and why challenging the balance system is also, in a real sense, exercising the memory system. Researchers have also noticed something striking about this simple test. Older adults who cannot hold a one-legged stand for even 10 seconds tend to show more evidence of those small silent injuries deep in the brain, the ones I described earlier, and tend to perform less well on tests of thinking. Your balance is not just a fall or risk measurement. It is a window into the health of your brain's smallest blood vessels. So keep your hand on the counter, keep it safe, and simply do it every day. As it gets easier, take the hand to fingertips only. Later, try turning your head slowly side to side while you hold. Never close your eyes unless you are in a corner or beside something solid you can grab. Minutes 8 to 10. The final block, and the only one where you do not move at all. Sit down. And recall yesterday, out loud, in as much detail as you can produce. What you ate for breakfast, what the weather did in the afternoon, who you spoke to, and what they told you. The order you did things in. 2 full minutes of deliberate, effortful remembering. If yesterday feels thin, use something else. Recite the route from your home to the pharmacy, turn by turn. List the names of every teacher you had in school. Recall the phone number of the house you grew up in. Name your grandchildren in order of age, then in order of birthday. The mechanism here is the one thing crossword puzzles miss. A memory is not stored like a photograph in a drawer. It is a pattern of connections, and every time you pull it back out, that pattern fires again and gets a little stronger. Retrieval is the exercise. Recognition is not. When you look at an old photograph, your brain is handed the answer. When you reconstruct yesterday from nothing, your brain has to walk the footpath itself, and the grass gets pushed back down. Effort is the active ingredient. If it feels a bit uncomfortable, you are doing it correctly. Saying it out loud matters too, because language and memory recruit different regions, and forcing them to work together strengthens the link between them. That is the routine. 3 minutes of circulation, 3 of coordination, 2 of balance, 2 of recall, 10 minutes start to finish. Now let me tell you the part that decides whether this works for you. Consistency beats intensity, and it is not close. A brilliant routine done twice a month is nothing. A modest routine done every single morning for 2 years rebuilds capacity you assumed was gone forever. So anchor it to something you already do without thinking, while the kettle boils right after you take your morning medications. Before you sit down with the newspaper. Habits stick to other habits far better than they stick to good intentions. Missing a day is not failure. Missing a day and then deciding the whole thing is pointless is failure. If you skip a morning, you simply do it the next morning. Nobody has ever lost ground in a single day, and nobody has ever gained in a single day, and nobody has ever gained it in one either. And be honest about what to expect. You will not wake up in 3 weeks with a photographic memory. What people notice first is smaller and more useful. Getting out of the car feels easier. Stairs stop requiring a plan. The afternoon fog thins out. Your one-legged stand gets longer, and you can track that yourself once a month with a stopwatch. I also want to be clear about what this routine does not replace. 10 minutes a morning will not undo blood pressure that has been running high for a decade. So take that seriously with your doctor, because what damages the small vessels in your kidneys damages the small vessels in your brain. It will not fix untreated hearing loss, which is one of the most powerful and most ignored risk factors we know of. So if you are asking people to repeat themselves, get your hearing tested this year. And it will not compensate for chronically poor sleep because the brain does most of its waste clearance overnight. This routine is a foundation. It is not a substitute for the basics. But do not let the size of that list stop you from starting. That is the trap I watch people fall into. They wait for the perfect month, the perfect plan, the appointment that never gets booked. Meanwhile, the vessels stiffen, the wiring frays, and the path grows over, one quiet season at a time. Here's what I want you to take from today. Dementia is not a lightning strike. It is a slow negotiation between damage and repair, running in the background for 20 years or more, and you have a vote in that negotiation every single day. 10 minutes is how you cast it. Move the blood. Cross the midline. Challenge your balance. Make your memory work for its living. The brain you will have at 85 is being built right now, this morning, by what you do in the next 10 minutes. Start tomorrow, then do it again the day after. And if this was useful to you, please like, share, and subscribe so it can reach someone else who still has time to use it.